Hi there, it's Steve Fishman from Orbit Media. You're listening to Get the Money and Run. Over 7 episodes, we're going to learn how Joe Loya became one of California's most daring bank robbers. We're going to hear about high-speed getaways, a relentless FBI, about disguises, body doubles, and also about another side of Joe. Joe Loya is a soul searcher, a soul-searching criminal. One of the most original criminals in true crime podcasts, and I listen to a lot of them. Today's episode, First Time Out. Remember to binge all 7 episodes ad-free. Subscribe to True Crime Clubhouse on Apple Podcasts. Our host and creator is the great Ben Adair, producer of shows like Lost Hills, Ripple, Pulse, The Untold Story. All right, over to Ben.
How much had you planned this all out in advance? Like,
None.
what did you know going into it? How are you going to go in? How are you going to get away?
None.
None. I mean, you can't just rob a bank with no plan, can you?
What I do remember about the day is this. I started 10. I walked into the first bank, and I grab a slip, and I write, "We have a bomb. This is a bank robbery." I wrote a bank robbery note. And then I'm like, fuck it, I don't want to do this here. For some reason, this doesn't feel right. So I start walking away, and as I walk away, there's like 3 cameras at me at the door. And I realized I could have been busted right. If anyone just kind of like, zoomed in on the guy who was writing something on the back of that slip, they could have seen I was trying to rob that bank. So I wrote my next note at McDonald's. I wrote it there, and I would walk into banks, and I would leave them all day long. Like I would walk in, and I would stand in line, go a couple steps up, a couple customers would be going, and I'd be like, nah, I don't got a feel for this. I'd walk in, I'd see, a guard or something. Nah, God. I swear to God, man, I probably nibbled a little bit of food from every fast food joint available at the time. KFC, Wendy's. If this was a short film, it would be a comic film because you would see me going in there, okay, I'm going to do it. And the next thing you see me drinking coffee at McDonald's. And then you see me, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be all fucking nervy in there. The next scene, I'm biting the Whopper at Burger King. Like, it would just be, okay, let's do it. Taco Bell. Let's do it. Wendy's. It was like, it was fucking hilarious.
What were you feeling inside?
Fear. I was just like, at this point, I'm not going to jail just standing in line thinking about robbing a bank. When I go do this next thing, this is the real thing. So I know that on the other side of this is a payoff, a big payoff. Because when you run past your fear, then it cannot harass you anymore. On this side of it, it's a big, dark, menacing curtain. And it's saying, try to come back here, see what the fuck's gonna happen here. You're like, I don't know if I want to open that curtain. Oh, fuck. Once you open that curtain fucking evaporates. There's no more curtain. You can turn around and like, where's that fucking curtain? It was menacing me. There's no curtain. And that's what you have to do. You have to push past your fear to get to the next level.
But right now, walking in and out of these banks,
all day
you're
long,
staring at that curtain.
Oh, that curtain's just like, taunting me. You fucking punk. And I knew that I had this in me where I could cough up a nutsack and do something if I need to do it. Now, all day I wasn't coughing up the nutsack. All day I was not calling up my courage. It would just go it would only get me so far, and then it would peter out. But I was like, this point, I was like, this is we're doing it. We're doing it right now. Fuck all the bullshit. Let's go do this.
Part 1. First time out. Okay, so I'm sitting here in the studio. This is Ben Adair, and I'm sitting here in the studio with Joe Loya. Hi, Joe.
Hey, Ben.
Joe, today you're wearing a sort of a black pullover shirt. You've got black glasses, silver goatee. Normally you have a City of Oakland baseball cap on.
Right here, yeah.
On the chair next to you. How do you describe yourself to people?
I say I'm fluffy.
I mean,
I don't say I'm fat, but I'm very heavy.
I mean, you're living
so I'm
large.
Overweight. Yeah, I'm living large. I'm existing large. I don't know about living large. Yeah, but so I'm a thick man, Mexican man, dark skin, and
Late 50s.
late 50s. Yeah, easy to say.
I mean, looking at you now, you're charming. I don't think people would understand that you used to break school records in track, though.
Nobody is. My friend Danny Gallegos once said, he said, "Man, you look like you ate that guy." I showed him a photo of me when I was 18 years old. He says, "Man, you look like you ate that guy." I mean, which that's what I look like.
But let's get back into it. It's 1984. You've never robbed a bank before. You've committed crimes, but mostly small stuff, fraud, stealing cars. Enough that has gotten the attention of the cops. You're wanted by police. So you've been hiding out in Tijuana. You've driven up to San Diego from Tijuana. You're in a stolen car. And you're walking in and out of banks all day.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's deadline time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so finally, 4:45, I gotta rob this bank. I know it. There's no getting around it. We're doing it right now. I don't have a choice. I stand in line, I have my note, I go to the line, say, "Hey, how you doing, sir?" I said, "I'm fine. How you doing?" As I'm walking over, let everybody see us and then not pay attention to us. And as I walk up there, I slide the note to her. I put it down on the table. I slide it to her. She looks down at it and she reads it and reads it and reads it. Like, has plenty of time to have read it, turned it over, copied it, turned it back over, read it again. Like, too long. So I reach forward and I realize I got to get her attention. So I grab the note and I move it around a little bit, like, "Hey, let's do something about this." And she still won't look up. So I had to pull the note away from her because I realized, oh shit, I've given her something to distract her. She does not want to look up and she doesn't have to look up. So I tried to pull the note back and she tries to pull the note to her. And when she's pulling the note, we're doing this little bullshit tug of war. Now I'm just fucking pissed. So I lean forward and say, "I'm not fucking around. I'll jump the counter." And I reach down like I got a gun. And I pat my waistband like I'm coming over. I will fuck you up for this bullshit stuff. And it was in that moment she looks up. And just with my eyes, I menace her. And then when she looked at me, she saw I was serious. She opened her drawer and just gave me the money. Now, I put on the table, on the counter, I put a fanny pack. I start throwing the money in it, and I tell her, "Good," and I walk away.
So then you get the money, you pick up the fanny pack.
I walk away with my fanny, I'm zipping it up. I'm walking away like I just did banking. I'm not like running. I'm not like, I just ran out the place, No energy other than, walk away. I turn around to walk out of the bank like I'm a customer, just finished my transaction. I get to the door, and before I can even walk out the door, somebody yells, "He robbed the bank. He robbed us." And so I start running. And I run. I'm bending over, driving my arms, and I'm high-stepping it. And I'm running to far away at the end of the block. I knew there was a trolley station, there was a cab there, and I jumped into the cab. Pulled away from these guys, kept looking back, and they were like, in the beginning, they were chasing after me in earnest, and then they realized there's no catching me. This jackrabbit's gone. So I get in the car, tell him to get me to San Ysidro. He drops me off on the other side of the freeway in San Ysidro, and then I walk over a bridge to where I had my hotel room. So I get inside my room, and obviously the first thing I'm excited to do is figure out how much money I got. It looked like a lot of money. And so I start counting the money. I break up the 20s, the 50s, the 100s, the 5s, the 10s, the way I always did. And then I was like, okay, let's count it because this looks good. And sure enough, $4,500. Oh man, it felt glorious. Okay, so already when I was in college, I used to think, I did this math and thought, I'm going to get out of college. I'm going to do 4 years. I'm going to be working through college because we don't have a lot of money. And when I get out, what do I think I might get? Start off at $40,000? Maybe 50 if I'm lucky. I don't know, but I don't think that I'm going to make a lot of money, and I'm going to have to do that over a year of work. And one of the reasons I went into crime was I thought, no, a guy who has that kind of gumption, he should be getting paid buckets of money. I felt like this is what my time is worth. So this money already felt so much better. It felt like I got it based on my wit, on my ferocity. I was getting paid for fucking heart. And also, I love the cleanness of it. Like everyone's like, oh, okay, we're going to go do this game where we exchange money all the time in life and then we all die. Here, I'm going to get it. Here's a paycheck. And oh, okay, then here, I'm going to go buy food. And we're all exchanging money and then we die. And I felt like, man, we've been duped. This is the way to fucking live. But if we're going to be having exchanges of money, let's make it this way. Hi, you have a lot of money? Give me your fucking shit. Now it's my money. Bye. Just give me the money. This is what I want. Bye. It's just clean. And it was fast. And it was commiserate to my time. That's great. I love getting $4,000, $5,000 for 5 minutes of work. I felt like I should be getting that every day of my life. Every 5 minutes of my life. So I was happy. It's like I don't have to be a petty criminal ever again. I never have to steal a Snicker bar, a shirt. I never have to defraud anybody. If I owe somebody $50, I get to give them $50. I get to be honorable now in my life, except for this one thing. Because I'm a bank robber now. I'm going to rob banks. That's all I'm going to do.
We'll be right back. Part 2, Mama's Boy. Not to be all tell me about your mother, but what was life like for young Joe growing up?
Okay, so I was born in East Los Angeles, the old Maravilla housing projects. Back in those days, my parents were 16 when I was born. Actually, my mother had just turned 17 when I was born. And so my mother and dad found out my mother was pregnant. They went to their parents. Their parents said, you're getting married. They were in 10th grade. They said, you're getting married. And it was a loving home, cool, loving home. The love story that I was raised in with my parents, they loved each other since they were 12. Everyone loved them. I was raised in that love story. I was raised in the love. We went to church, and our church was our life at that time. I was raised with Bible stories. I was raised at church camps. I was raised potlucks. Man, I was raised in the church, and I was raised with a dad who wanted to be a preacher, and he had a love of language. He was very smart, and he was devoted to learning. Everything was cool until I turned 7. By that time, we'd moved out to Pico Rivera, and my mother got sick. This always gets me, man. I remember my mother got a job at the Sears Tower over here on Olympic. I don't even know if the Sears building's still there. But there should be a big Sears building there, and she got in the typing pool because she was like, she was a typing foolia, man. But what I remember about that is my dad would go warm up the car. My dad would go warm up the car outside. This is in the days when you weren't afraid someone's just going to steal your car, right? He would go warm up the car, turn the heater on in there because it's cold. It was, it was early morning, like 3 or 4, or maybe it was 4 or 5, who knows? But it seemed super early, dark, cold. And then he would wrap us up inside, and they would carry us to the car. We'd be in the back sleeping. That was also in the days when you didn't need to buckle your kids in the back seat. And then he would take my mom, and I remember I would get up and I would look out, and there was fog over there by the LA River when you would go over like First Street or one of those bridges in LA. And I remember like, wow, this is weird. It's like when you see those old movies and like Casablanca, and there's just fog going by and it's dark. It was like that, but it was early morning, and she was a sharp dresser, I remember her looking sharp. That's one of my first memories, but it's not until age 7, right? She was already sick then, and very sick, and she didn't know it. She was just tired. She thought it was just because of her work, whatever. And she had to take a physical. That's when the doctor was like, oh shit, something's wrong. And then she was in and out of the hospital. Like, our life was just kind of, what? It was topsy-turvy after she got sick. I remember once I visited her, and I hated that hospital. I hated the smell. I hated being there. I hated her shuffling over to us and her chanclas and her little, the hospital dress thing they had. I hated her smell of sponge bath. I hated it all. The beeping, all that stuff, man, it brings back crazy feelings of helplessness. Remember when she was in junior high, she had been voted, Tower Queen of Griffith Junior High. She was beautiful. When she got sick, the medications that they gave her made her look like she was 9 months pregnant. But she also got really skinny and gaunt everywhere else. And she lost the body in her hair. She got dark circles under her eyes. And, she could barely move. She kind of shuffled. When she was home, she was feeble. She was so drugged up. Her back, I would scratch her back sometimes. She still loved to scratch her back. And I stayed home a lot. I was sick a lot. I was a sickly boy. So I got to spend time with my mom. And I would scratch her back. And I knew the pattern of her back that I get scratched, because I would scratch her back. I would come across this rough skin. I realized, okay, I'm going into the little volcano head of the boil. Let me move around it. And I would just find the pattern and scratch her back. And she loved that. On her wrist, the vein was raised on the wrist because they were constantly putting needles into it, so that it almost looked like you could see the blood flowing through it. It was really creepy. And then her mind left her. Periodically, it would leave her, and in dramatic ways. So one day, we came home, like we always did. Mother was still in the hospital that day. It was a Thursday, but we're outside playing basketball. Me, my brother Paul, Mike Hart, some of the other fellas. And I get called in to my grandma's. Hey, man, come on up. I come on up, and I knew something was strange, because there's people in the house. They're all dressed up. People from church, family people. And this doesn't happen during the week, a weeknight, Thursday night. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I have no clue, really. I'm a clueless 9-year-old boy, is what I was. And my dad comes in. And everybody moves towards my dad. And there's these somber hugs and whatever. And nobody's trying to reveal to us what's going on yet. We're just dopey boys. Our life about to intersect with chance like a motherfucker here. And he comes, he gets us, he walks in the room. We sit down on my grandma's bed. And then he tells us that, my mom's, she's not going to see her again. She died. She's in heaven. And, he breaks it to us that she's dead and it's just us. And I remember thinking that, I was going to be strong. For some reason, I felt like I need to be strong for this. And I tell my dad that I'm not going to cry. I said, don't worry, I'm not going to cry. I'm still going to be strong. He goes, no, you need to cry. Men cry. He says, and then he went through a little list. George Washington cried. Moses cried. Abraham Lincoln cried. I'm like, wow, shit, all right. I said, yeah, King David cried, you can cry. And so after he lays down this list of a bunch of crybabies, I feel like, all right, I'll cry. So I cry. And then it comes, it's heavy. And then Paul's crying. My dad's crying. And it was actually one of the best moments of my life, in that the feeling you get when my dad leaned forward and pulled us into him, and it was just us, and we're all crying, and we just become this one spasm of anguish and pain, and there's this unity of our grief around the same thing. And it's one of the most beautiful moments I've ever had with my dad, because around this morbidity, the death of my mother is also one of the most erotic feelings you have. By erotic, I don't mean sexual erotic. I just mean feeling, like just all this emotion and all this body chemical stuff going on. You're crying and you feel near to these people. You're literally hugging and touching and crying and shedding tears and kissing each other. It's a moment of unity. It was like for a brief moment, all the pain that we've been struggling with she's gone. there's relief in that moment. And we had just cried our eyes and our heart out. And it's like, oh. And he gives us the gum and he says, here. And we all like, he's giving us like breaking bread. It's like a fucking, it's our thing, right? It's a now we got a physical thing that we can all physically do together for a little ritual here. And he says, we're going to be fine. We're going to do this. We got this.
We'll be right back. Part 3. Mama's gone. Do you remember the first time your dad hit you?
No. I mean, I just feel like he was always hitting me. It was, wow. It's like asking a fish to describe the properties of water, right? There's no way he knows that. It's like I was always getting hit. There was a moment, for example, my mother had to have been ill at this time, and I had to memorize my multiplication tables. And my dad would do this thing where he wanted us to be the smartest kids in the class. Because we were scholarship kids and we were the brown kids, he wanted us to be better and smarter than the other kids. So sometimes he would make us do things that we weren't yet learning. So like, for example, multiplication tables, I hadn't got there yet, but he wanted me to know them. And I had to memorize all 144, 1 times 1 is 1, all the way to 12 times 12 is 144. And he wanted me to learn like in a day or whatever. He comes home and tests me. And he tells me for everyone I miss, I'm going to get 2 spankings. It's like he wanted perfection because he felt if I didn't get it right, then that meant I was lazy. That meant I was being undisciplined, which means I was also being refractory. I was just, rebellious kid for not learning. I missed 5. The 5 you're always going to miss. 9 times 8, 8 times 7. There's some that always get me, right? I just couldn't figure them out. And then he's going to hit me 10 times with the belt. And my mom, cries out, no, don't hit him. He didn't do bad, man. It's a 144 equation. And he does this crazy thing, man, I'll never forget. He puts the belt in her hand and says, you hit him then. And he bullies her into hitting me. She's crying while she's hitting me. Torturing her. Sadistic. And she hits me so feebly, because she doesn't want to hurt me, that he says, you didn't make him cry. And I was a fool not to cry out, because it didn't hurt. He needed to hear me cry in elaborate pain, and I clearly wasn't doing that with my mom saying. So my dad would get demented. It was about proving who's the boss and all this other kind of sadistic bullshit in there. And he would throw all that in the mix, and then stuff like that happened. Now we were little, so it wasn't like he didn't have to do things he would later have to do. Kick us and use weapons on us. But when we were that little, he just would whack us with the belt,
Is there a first time you remember it crossing a line, like this was different? What happened just now is different than just regular stuff?
Yeah, when I got suspended for a week, that beating was so bad. I couldn't go to school even after the period of time was up for me to go back because he found out late in the week about it. So I was supposed to go back like the next day or 2 days later. I couldn't go back for 3 or 4 days because the welts were so bad on me. Brenda would not let me go to school.
Brenda, your stepmom.
She felt that they would send me, that would get him in trouble. I had crossed the line with him, had deceived him for almost an entire week that they were going to work. I mean, the deception had been so bad. I think he really wanted to stop me in my tracks, but I was so far gone already, That was a vicious beating. Once I came home and he was, I had been walking home from school and I got in a fight with this one guy, or I got in an argument with this one guy, and he and his boys are like, hey man, you got to fight him. You got to fight him. I'm like, all right, I'll fight you. It's Mexican honor, me against you. Let's do it. Let's sling our dogs. And so we got to find a right place though to do it, so nobody will jump in. I was like, all right. So dopey me, they're like, hey, but you got a nice sweater on, man. Take it off. And it was a nice sweater. My stepmother Brenda used to get us the great sweaters. It's kind of a little Argyle thing across the front, kick-ass sweater. And I'm like, you know what? These are gentlemen, man. They don't want to ruin my sweater. I get it. That's actually cool. It's very courtly, I felt like. So I go to pull my sweater and then all three of them jump the shit out of me. They beat me, and I'm just fucked. I've got that sweater like halfway off, and I can't throw any punches. They're holding the sweater, dragging me around, just kicking, punches. I just fall to the ground and get the shit beat out of me. And break my glasses right in the middle, right? Crack it right in the middle. So I go walk home. I'm all beat up. Oh, my sweatshirt's all ripped, and I just tore up, right? And my glasses are broken. So I walk in, and my dad's studying the Bible, getting ready to, teach and stuff like that. And he said, what happened? I said, I got jumped. And I show him my glass. He's so mad. He walks over, slaps me. Says, you got to get it. You got to go fight these guys. We're going to find them, and you're going to fight them one by one. And essentially, like, you're too much of a sissy. You got to recover your manhood. This is bullshit. So he puts me in the car. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm scared of these dudes now, man. They just taxed my ass, man. And they did it easy. But I have to do it, man. I mean, Dad's teaching me a very valuable lesson that will haunt his ass later, which is, if you get sized up as being weak, you better be willing to go overboard and actually make a statement later. You cannot stay weak. That idea of me being a weak kid, he's not going to tolerate that shit. I got to learn payback. We start driving around. Anytime you see some kids, I'm trying to slink in my front seat. I can't. And he says, hey, is that them there? I put my glasses together and hold them up to my face. Like, no. And he's mad. He's mad at me. I'm a walking badge of weakness to him. To him, it's like, you shamed the Joe Loya name.
He's not mad at the kids who beat you up. He's mad at
me.
You.
Yeah. Right there next to him is all the evidence that he's a fucked up father because he's creating such a sissy boy. And he's not going to have that. He's at least going to be able to say to the people, my son went back and tried to clean it up. And even if I get beat, at least I try to clean it up.
So you and your dad, did you ever find the guys?
So we do finally find him walking out of a liquor store. Is that them? And I put my glasses together and went, no. And, I find he gets whacked across the face. And he drives home pissed. He was just so mad that his son was a sissy. And my dad had been this little gang kid who had converted to God, but he didn't know how to control his temper.
Did your dad ever apologize? Did he ever say he was sorry?
Said he's sorry all the time.
All the time?
And he would go into shame spirals, and he would cry. And, I'm sorry. We were like, hey, we're sorry. We accept your apology. We love you, Dad. And it was all that. And I think that's eventually what led me to, like, shut me down, man. It was disillusionment. Because you have all this hope. You're like, yeah, he'll never do it again. God bless. And we all get on our knees and pray. And God heal the home. It was that. It's like, fucking worthless.
Joe, I mean, all this just sounds awful. I mean, you're a kid. How did you not just, like, fold?
Yeah, this is what people don't understand. When you go inward like that, and you go into the darkness, it gets real dark down there. That's where you get your most power. So as my dad was beating me, and I was taking each blow, there's a different power, there's a different energy in the shadows that builds up inside of you. The animosity, the negativity, that stuff, it crackles differently. It changes the molecules differently. Yeah, it rearranges you and gives you power. And I was getting stronger. I was not getting weaker. I was getting demented with a very powerful rage. And that's what eventually would come out.
You are listening to The Burden, Season 4, Get the Money and Run. The Burden is produced by Orbit Media. Get the Money and Run is produced by Western Sound and Acast Studios. Next up, stay tuned for Episode 2. Who's Your Daddy?
Thanks for listening. Remember, to hear all episodes all at once and ad-free, subscribe to True Crime Clubhouse on Apple Podcasts. It's worth it. You'll find other gripping true crime series there, also ad-free. If you want to hear Ben talk about this episode, check out the teaser. It's in the Burden feed.